All right, Robert Saleh is going to be giving a press conference from the league meetings today in the next few minutes, 7:45 in the morning, Eastern Standard Time, per the New York Jets official YouTube channel. Once it goes live, I will switch over to the video. But until then, I'll talk to you guys a little bit about my thoughts as we wait for this to pop up. I'm hoping they announce 𝐀𝐟𝐼𝐥𝐢𝐵 signing. That would be fantastic today. What does he have to say about our free agent acquisitions? Thoughts on the NFL draft? What type of questions do you want to see Robert Saleh asked at this meeting? Going to be interesting to see. See what winds up coming up. This is Ryan's first day back at work today too, so I'm like leaving here basically as soon as this press conference kicks off, or once it's done. So hopefully we're not too late. And I guess if any of the kids wake up at this point in time, I would be very out the door. Mom's on her way to work, so I'm wrangling the kids today. Robert Saleh pops into the chat. I'll be live very shortly. Thank you, Robert. Main Jets fan, good morning. Top of the morning. Gaming with Nessie, what's going on, dude? I appreciate you waking up early to listen to my press conference, Ryan. Thank you. Of course. Of course. Green Bean Show and Ryan live stream all on Monday morning. Yeah, Green Bean stream usually drops, is it 8 o'clock in the morning? He usually drops that. And then you got me for probably 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I can't imagine this is going to be a very long press conference. Usually these things aren't crazy long. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. You'll be able to watch the whole thing right here. I'll pull it up, and hopefully we get some interesting questions. Something to discuss.
Morning.
Here we go.
Robert, what are your feelings about what you guys have done in free agency?
Thought Joe's done a really nice job. It's given us a lot of flexibility with regards to the draft, so still a lot of work to do, a lot of things that we need to accomplish, but good so far.
What do you think about your new offensive line?
From a mental makeup standpoint, really excited about the group. Morgan, we know Morgan. He's a warrior. We'll get to know Tyron as we go. But when he's on the field, he's pretty darn good. And John Simpson, he's a war daddy, so we're excited to get him in the building also.
What can you say about the county? Where do things stand?
I'll leave that one for Joe.
Where do, health-wise, how are Tyron and Mike Williams? If you can address them both separately.
No, for sure. Mike, he's got a long way to go. If he comes in and he works and puts in the work like we know, he's on the same timeline that Bryce had. They're very similar injury, same time frame. And just speaking with Mike, he knows he's got a road to trek, but at the same time, if he does it the right way, we're very confident that we'll have him ready for week one.
What is Mike going to be able to do for you guys when he's healthy and everything?
He's a dynamic receiver. We've been a big fan of his for a while. He's, you say 50-50 ball, but it's more 70-30 when it goes up to him. But he's a dynamic athlete, dynamic receiver, very confident when he goes up and gets the ball. And so just to be that compliment to Garrett and the rest of the receiver room would be a good deal.
With Tyron, he's been a guy that's been banged up throughout his career. So is there a plan, when you guys brought him in, is there a plan in place to try to keep him healthy for 17 weeks? Or, what is...
Yeah, we'll communicate with what they did in Dallas and obviously with our doctors and our training staff and obviously with Tyron, and just make sure we come up with the best plan for him.
Robert, any concern there, right? Tyron's had some injuries the last few years. Mike's coming off an ACL. Morgan just had surgery. It's endurable, but he just coming off surgery. You guys added some age and injury risks.
Yeah, injuries are part of the league. You know that those guys, if they can stay on the field, they're pretty dynamic. It's it's always going to be the trick. Regardless of the players you bring in, Aaron Rodgers has been healthy his entire career, and 4 plays and he goes down. So you never know when it's going to happen. You do your best to keep him healthy, and you do your best to build the depth around it. So.
How do you feel about the depth on the offensive line?
You know, I've mentioned it a few times. Last year, because of all the injuries, a lot of guys got a lot of playing time that weren't expected to. So we feel really good about the guys who played a year ago as part of building our depth, and they still have room to grow, you know, and they still have room to grow into even better football players. So we feel really good about the depth of our offensive line. Like I said, you're not just going to throw those guys away. They were a part of something last year, and you know, continue to work with those guys and continue to help them build.
Speaking of Aaron, what do you envision for a timeline in terms of the level of participation he's going to have in the spring and then into training camp?
Expecting him to be available for spring. You guys know OTAs has become a 7-on-7 camp, so he should be able to do all that stuff. And but as we get closer, which we are here in the next couple of weeks, we'll communicate more with him.
You're saying he'll be available for spring then?
I'm fully anticipating it.
Yeah, so he won't have any other things that are going on with him aside from...
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. What was your reaction when it appeared that he might be under consideration for being a candidate?
I didn't have one. I mean, I didn't have one.
That's not in the coaching playbook?
No, you know what? No.
Was that something that came up, like, because it was the same time as free agency, so guys are, like, committing to sign here, let them know that Aaron's going to be
No, I don't think outside the football world, I think it was viewed a little bit differently in the political world than it was at least in our world.
Robert, what's your biggest takeaway from last season? Your biggest kind of lesson going forward?
A lot of lessons for me. I think if you're a player, there's a lot of lessons in terms of how to deal with adversity and how to deal with the different things that happened. You know, there's a lot of, you guys know me, I'm always going to try to find the silver linings of things that happen, and we did. Obviously, we didn't accomplish what we wanted to, but I do feel like we found a lot about ourselves, a lot about the guys that came in to fight every single day and tried to find a way to finish stronger. And you know, we won 3 of our last 5, and got a little bit better towards the end of the year. Not saying much, obviously, but there's a lot of things that we could take from last year, especially from my end, for sure.
Robert, you were there when Javon Kinlaw was drafted by the 49ers. When you had the chance to bring him in here, like, how much did that excite you?
You know, I think his career is still ascending. You know, he's a young guy. Obviously, he had some injuries. His second and third year, was healthy last year. You know, he's still learning the game, and so we're excited to get him here to see what he can do.
A guy you guys seem to be high on, and just not why in a mean term, but just if you can explain, is Carter Warren. Hey, what did you guys see last year that makes you kind of feel good about him going forward? You
know, Carter, he misses all of OTAs. He missed all of training camp with injury. It's valuable time, especially for a rookie. And he steps right in, and you know, I thought he did an admirable job. You know, I'm not going to say it was perfect, but you should just see signs of his footwork, his strength. You feel like if he could just put in an off season, stay healthy, get stronger, that he'll take another jump. And you know, so there's a lot of promise in that individual, like his mental makeup, like his mindset, and so there's hope that with a strong off season he could do something.
You did saw the quarterback of Tyron Smith. Let's talk about what he brings to your team.
Elite locker room presence. Obviously, we already know the football player. He's pretty darn good. You know, he's still got tremendous mobility, and he's got great arm talent. But just overall, just his presence in the building is going to be a plus.
Robert, we've heard that you're going to be more involved in the offense. Not that you haven't been, but what does that mean? What is your role now in the offense?
It's no different. I work with all 3 phases. I separate my day to make sure that I'm in all those meetings to work with the defense, work with special teams, work with offense, and you know, it's so there's, you know, you guys can perceive that one how you guys want, I guess.
When Woody spoke at the NFL honors, he, you know, obviously conveyed how upset he was by the way last season turned out, and he said, you know, big thing. He's expecting big things from the team. How do you perceive that in terms of added pressure for your job?
Pressure, it doesn't add. Pressure is already max elevated. from year one to wherever. There's always pressure to win. Obviously, we're all disappointed with the way things worked out a year ago, but I don't think anyone's confidence is shook. I think we're all confident in our abilities. I think our players are confident that we'd be able to achieve the things that we need to achieve. We just got to go to work and keep our heads down and find a way to get some W's.
Is this, Robert, is this a season where maybe short of the playoffs is a failure?
I'll never say that. It's like I said, put your head down, do the best you can, put your work in, and obviously we all want to win games. We all want to go to the playoffs. We all want to win championships. That's been the goal since the day we walked in here, and felt like we were going to have that opportunity last year. It didn't happen, and this year's about picking ourselves up, putting our heads down, and just working.
Robert, you made a bunch of offensive staff coaching changes. How much of that was toward an eye toward like fixing what wasn't working on offense?
I don't know if it was any of that. Obviously, you're always going to try to fix things. There's certain, when you look at the two guys that we brought in with Sean Jefferson, Tony Dews, two guys who have been in the league for a while, two guys who've worked with a lot of different players, and just felt like bringing in different personalities to bring a different dynamic to that room. But we're always going to try to evolve and just try to find ways to get better for sure.
Would you agree with the premise, though, that a coach in his fourth year has to make the playoffs?
I guess. You could say that. You get so many opportunities, but like I said, the pressure to win is always there in the NFL. You're always trying to achieve what you set out to achieve, and it's been said before. I'll say it again. There's only one team happy at the end of the year, and that's the team that's hoisting the trophy.
Robert, we saw your comments to Steve Bryce yesterday about maybe it'll be a little quieter this year. Do you have any regrets? You guys leaned into it last year in terms of the expectations that came with Aaron. Hard Knocks was kind of forced upon you, but you embraced those expectations. Do you have any regrets of how loud it got?
No, I don't have any regrets with regards to it because there's no hiding from it. You trade for a guy like Aaron Rodgers. I feel like it would have sounded silly of any of us to try to hide from it, but the reality is, winning off seasons doesn't matter. We got to win football games, and no matter how much excitement there is around the organization, no matter how much excitement there is around free agency or the draft, none of it matters. Like I said, just got to keep our heads down and find ways to get better, continue to have a great off season, and when we get to the season, we got to find a way to put W's in the win column, wins in the win column.
Were you taking off now, Robert, with the talk about Aaron as a possible VP?
No.
Did he talk to you about it before and let you know it was coming?
He didn't need to.
Yeah. So
Robert,
when you heard about it,
Nothing of it.
Yeah.
Some of that noise in the offseason was about dysfunction within the building. I just wanted to give you the reports out there, rumors and stuff. I just wanted to give you a chance to address that, and overall, where do you think the culture is? Where you got that in terms of building and whatever?
That's fine. Look, when you don't achieve what you're supposed to achieve, people are going to take their shots, and that's fine. But feel really confident. I feel like guys like Sauce Gardner have spoken about the organization. I feel really good about where our organization is, and outside noise is outside noise, and and it's like I said, it's one of those deals where you just put your head down, work, and the only way you're going to change the narrative is by winning.
Robert, the Eagles signed Bryce Huff this offseason. I was curious as a pass rusher and then in comparison, what type of player are they getting?
Bryce, elite pass rusher, closes games. He's people want to say that all he does is rush the passer, but all Mariano Rivera did was close ninth innings. So he's a pretty darn good pass rusher, and he's going to be great for Philadelphia.
Why didn't he get more playing time over the years?
He's earned a lot of playing time. He came in as an undrafted free agent. Obviously, his first year we weren't here. The following year, he remade his entire body, earned a little bit of playing time, had some injury. The following year, got a little bit more playing time. And then last year, he really came on. And his playing time increased every single year. And he's really taking it upon himself to find ways to improve in the run game. And I think he's done that. So expecting him to get a lot more playing time with Philadelphia.
How do you think he'll handle that playing time if he gets off?
He'll be great.
How disappointed were you, Robert, that you guys weren't able to bring him back?
You're always disappointed. You know, it's when we first got here, we said our job is to make Joe D's job hard with regards to signing guys, and really excited for Bryce and his opportunity.
Well, that puts a lot of pressure on Will to step up and fill that void, McDonald.
I don't think it puts pressure on Will. Will's just got to come in, do the best he can, and you know. But at the end of the day, I know Will's working his tail off, and I know he's going to rush hard, and he's going to do whatever he can to be the best player he can be.
So how can you? What confident do you be to replace that production?
We'll figure it out.
To what degree do you feel like it's necessary to talk to Aaron outside of his Achilles rehab, just about how he's engaging in the process of sort of race conditioning and what have you, so that you're not going to embark upon, you know, a similarity of what happened last year, especially coming off of, you know, what's already lingering?
You know, Aaron, I know he's on a mission. I don't want to speak for him. He's working his tail off out in California. You know, he's communicating with us. I won't say daily, but often. And but knowing Aaron, he's on a mission to do a lot of things that he wanted to do last year, and he's not going to stop until he gets it done.
Do you feel like there's what I was asking is, do you feel like there's a need to have something different though, so that what happened last year doesn't happen this year?
No, I think if he's from a rehab standpoint, are you speaking from a rehab standpoint?
Rehab, conditioning, workout sequence routine.
I'm sure it's going to be a little bit different, just because he is going through the rehab stuff. Last year he wasn't dealing with an Achilles, so I'm sure there's a protocol for it. But that's more of a question, I guess, for the doctors and Aaron.
Robert, where are you guys at with the safety position right now? Obviously, right-head left.
Obviously, Tony Adams will be coming back. Chuck Clark, excited to get him re-signed. We're not done with the position, but there's some work to do in that room for sure.
With Aaron, following on Josina, but more from a football perspective, given his age and the nature of that injury, how realistic is it to expect him to be what he was a couple of years ago?
I think it's realistic. You know, he's, you know, usually those Achilles injuries are in the skill position or the position player. He's a position player, but the guys who move around a lot. Not to say that he doesn't move around or that he's not mobile, because he's plenty mobile enough. But you know, he can get his feet in the ground. He can work with good footwork and a good base, and he can release a football. So as long as he can do that, he'll be fine.
What was one of his strengths, though, was being able to move?
Yeah, he'll still be able to move. I mean, he was moving around pretty good at the end of the year this year, and I think he'll still be able to have that mobility.
With that quarterback position, Robert, I mean, I know you guys are super confident in Aaron, but he is older and he is coming off that ACL. Tyrod has legitimate injury background as well. I mean, is there a need or pressure to maybe even have a third guy that can play?
No, you know, we got full confidence in Aaron and obviously Tyrod, and you know, we're going to add another quarterback to the room. Obviously, you've got to come to come to camp with 3 or 4 guys. So that room's not necessarily done either, but at the same time, it's I'm not overly concerned.
And where do things stand with Zach?
I'll leave that one for Joe.
Robert, where is ABT in terms of his rehab?
See him every day at the facility. He's working his tail off. He looks good. Expecting him back for week 1.
Do you worry at all? I felt like last year you guys didn't have all the pieces on the offensive line in training camp. They really didn't get time together. It looks like it could be that again, right? ABT, I don't know what his training camp status is going to be. Morgan Moses, I'm sure you're going to probably rest him a little bit. Like, you worry about that at all?
Not as much as a year ago. You know, we're expecting those guys to be available for training camp, and we'll work accordingly to their schedule.
Aaron talked about eliminating distractions. Do you feel like you guys had a need to do that? Have you done that? Have you addressed that?
Distractions will be eliminated with winning, and when we win football games, distractions will go away.
How much do you feel like it's necessary, though, just to follow up what I was saying before, for you personally to get involved in a conversation with Aaron about what he is or what he is not doing? Because the reason why I'm harping on it is because, you know, he's moving around, he's looking good, he's backpedaling all these other things, but the reality is that if something is coming, you really can't see it. You can't see in the body and see what's coming. So you can move around and look good, but I'm just curious, beyond just saying, well, the trainers, this, that, and the third, how much do you personally get involved in?
With regards to his rehab, respectfully, I just let the medical guys do it. I do talk to him often, talk about where he's at, talk about scheme, talk about all that stuff. But when it comes to the medical stuff, for the most part, just kind of hands off and trusting the doctors and him will make the best decision for him.
Robert, you guys hosted the game at Clowney for a visit. I'm curious how that go and how intrigued are you at adding a guy like that to accomplish as he's done?
Well, you guys know me with pass rushers, so more the merrier.
Robert, with adding Mike to the receiver, do you feel like you guys still need more work at that position? Is there still, or do you feel comfortable with what you have?
You know, I'll go back to starting with Big Mike. You know, he's got work to do. But excited if he can accomplish the work that he needs to accomplish. He'll be a tremendous asset to not only himself but to the organization. And but overall, guys like Brownlee and Xavier Gipson got a lot of playing time last year, and expecting them to take a jump, expecting them to work their tails off this offseason, expecting them to take a jump in, not only as players but as men, and you know, expecting Lazard to come back a lot stronger. You know, from a receiver room standpoint, I'm not going to say it's not done. I'm not going to answer for Joe, but at the same time, it's not done in the sense that there's a lot of work to do and a lot of things that we need to get accomplished to be better than we were a year ago.
Where do things stand with Corey Davis?
CD, we'll see. You know, we've talked to him. We're in constant talks with him. Love CD, tremendous athlete, tremendous man, tremendous locker room presence. He knows how we all feel about him, and you know, our doors always going to be open for him.
What gives you the confidence about Lazard?
You know, he's not the first person or the last that signs a big deal in the offseason and doesn't meet the expectations at which he came through. You know, empathetically, speaking of not for Lazard, but you're changing scenery. There's a lot of different things happening in your life. It just doesn't work out the way you want to, and then it just snowballs into what it became. I know he's working really hard. He's down in Dallas, I believe, and he's working his tail off. And I know he's coming back with a renewed mindset to fix a lot of wrongs.
After the way the offense performed last year, Hackett's popularity rating is extremely low among Jet fans. What could you say? What gives you the confidence that he could be better in year two?
I know he will be. You know, and like I said, it's all part of. When you lose, you're a loser. I suck. Joe D sucks. We all suck. So it goes with the territory. But you know, the best thing we can do is put our heads down. And like I said, we got to go to work. You know, all the feel good stuff of the off season doesn't matter. We got to win football games, and when we win football games, all the narratives will change.
Robert, so do you guys need that?
Say it one more time.
Bryce Huff, as a player before that.
Just in terms of what he's capable of, sky's the limit for that dude. You know, as a pass rusher, like I said, he's elite, and he's been trending in the right direction consistently, and he's working on his ability to stop the run, and I think he will.
Can you name a player who may break out this year that may surprise some people? A guy you're looking toward, whether it be a young guy that maybe is kind of unheralded?
You know, there's a lot of guys I'm hoping for. All these young guys, like you know, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I've said it before. You know, that first year we were 32nd in the league in defense, and there was about 12 guys who were still with our roster the last 2 years that got significant playing time, and some of them took jumps into starters like Quincy Williams. Some of them took jumps into major role players like Jamie and Sherwood. Michael Carter is turned into a heck of a football player. So a lot of guys are still on this football team. And so you look at the offensive side of the ball, guys like Jeremy Ruckert, Garrett's already a star, but he's only in his second year. Brees is a star, but he's only in his second year. Max Mitchell, Carter Warren. I can go on and on about the entire group. Brownlee, Gibson. A lot of guys got a lot of playing time that weren't expecting to get that playing time. So really hoping that they're all able to take that second jump.
Robert, just looking over at the New England table, seeing the different face over there, is it going to be strange this season when you guys play the Patriots and Bill Belichick's on the other side?
No. I think Gerard will do a heck of a job. So was a hell of a player. Everything I've gathered from him, he's a hell of a coach. And from my understanding, not much is going to change. But but at the same time, it's still division opponents. So
He's talking to reporters, so something's changed.
something's changed.
The old face was never here anyway.
Joe had talked about wanting to keep ABT at the same position this year. Could you just talk about what went into that decision? And I'm assuming it's the start.
Yeah, you know, just through the call it bad luck. You know, we've had his curse is his versatility, his gift and curse is versatility, and you know, just for him to let him focus on one position, not move him around. We do feel like that's kind of contributed to his injuries the last couple of years, and you know, our goal is to try to do everything we can to keep him healthy, and so our goal is to keep him in one position, and as of now it's at right guard, and the goal is to keep him the entire season.
Did you ever, like, even for a smallest little inkling, have any thoughts that 𝐀𝐟𝐼𝐥𝐢𝐵 may have shared privileged information with another team?
I'm not going to talk about that one. Appreciate 𝐀𝐟𝐼𝐥𝐢𝐵 came out here. We tried our best. Didn't work out. Give credit to 𝐂𝐧𝐤𝐫𝐵. Came and worked deliberately, and did everything he could to take that job. But you know, appreciate 𝐀𝐟𝐼𝐥𝐢𝐵. I'm happy he did a lot of really good things. Kansas City won the Super Bowl, and but our focus is on the guys that are here.
We saw what we said last year coming out of ACL. I think surprised some people. Is there like another level we can get to this year?
Yeah.
Like another
you know, we slow played him, obviously, and we always knew what he was capable of in the pass game and the run game, and you know, I'll never put expectations on results. I do know he's got a burning desire to prove that he's one of the best in football, and I know he's going to come back this year with not renewed confidence, but knowing what he's capable of, and knowing that he hasn't even scratched the surface, especially with the way he finished the season a year ago.
What's the plan behind Bryce? Are you guys still looking?
Izzy's another guy that got a lot of playing time last year. Expecting him to take a jump, see him in the facility also, often, but the running back room is not done yet either.
When Woody was, I wasn't there, but when Woody was talking at the NFL Honors, he said he conveyed his, I think you used the word anger, right? He said anger, right? He goes, for the past month he's been conveying it to you and Joe. Like, when you're sitting there and he's being angry, for lack of a better word, like, what are you thinking? Like,
you know, Woody provides a lot of good insight. He really does, and you know, regardless of what the tone may or may not be, the important thing is the message, and he's delivered a lot of really thoughtful, good messages that have helped us progress, especially during this off season, and will help us during the season. So his words are always welcome. He's the owner of the football team, and his frustrations are shared with everyone.
Robert, you talked toward the end of the season about trying to study what's going on with the injuries on the offensive line, look at what other teams do. Did you pick anything up? I'm not asking for specifics, but did you pick anything up, and are you going to make changes to how you do OTAs, how you do training here?
We are. I'm not going to talk about them here, but there's definitely going to be changes with what we do with the offensive line.
It seems like Robert. How much difference do you think the offense is going to be this year? I know you're banking on Aaron being healthy, but what are you expecting from the offense?
It's going to be different. What's going to be different? I guess you guys will have to see, but it's going to be different.
So much happened last year, this time last year at the end of the season. When you finally took a step back after the season, what was your biggest takeaway, your biggest lesson for you that you're going to take into this year?
A lot of lessons. Got to win football games. That's it.
That was your lesson?
I'm just going to leave it at
your job and what you have.
Well, for me, you know, obviously there's a lot of things that I could do differently. Obviously, and I'm not going to talk about them here. But you know, with regards to messaging, you know, the different things we do schematically, got a lot of confidence in all that stuff. The messaging, our practice habits, the things we do with regards to our schedule. There's a lot of things that we're going to do a little bit differently this year, but. You know, just through all the chaos of a year ago and all that stuff, obviously a lot of lessons learned, and a lot of things will change.
Just going back to Mekhi real quick, did you guys ask the league to look into Tyron?
I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not interested.
Keith Carter, Robert, criticized him a few times. And some of your players reacted on social media. Are you comfortable kind of with his style? It might rub some players the wrong way.
Look, for Keith, he is a hard-charging football coach, and you can't deny the fact that when they were in Tennessee, they were one of the better run football teams and run teams in all of football, and they weren't just good when he got there. They were good when he got there, and they fell off when he left. And he's a damn good football coach. Is he hard-charging? For sure. Not everything is always going to be falling for words here, but he's a hell of a football coach, and sometimes messaging can get lost in tone. And so I know he's working on all that stuff, but I'm not concerned about his ability to coach his football team. He's proven to have a lot of success. I do feel like we finished the season strong, especially in the run game. Felt like he handled last year really well, having to deal with all the different offensive linemen in and out of the roster. And fully expect him to continue to grow, not only as a football coach, but as a person.
The way you've been gushing this morning about Bryce Huff, would you say that's been, of all the years you've been here, the toughest free agent loss?
For sure, because like I said, he's homegrown, and you appreciate guys who put in work, especially a guy who was undrafted, and we can't keep them all. So empathetically, I understand that on the business part of that, but at the same time, really excited and happy for him and the work he put in. So, Bryce knows how we feel about him, and we're really excited to see him in his next chapter.
Why not try to get something done, Robert, during the season then, before he hit free agency, before he had the opportunity to talk to other teams? Like, why not try to knock it down before you keep him in?
I can't answer that one. Sometimes guys take bets on themselves, and sometimes they win.
With Will, I know you talked about you don't think it's a lot of pressure on him, but where's the leap for Will, Robert? What does he need to do to jump from year 1 to year 2?
Will, for Will, he's got to add a lot of strength and power. He's got to add power to his football game. He's got speed. He's got a counter move inside. But when he learns to run through somebody's face, he's going to become a three-way pass rusher that no one will be able to block him at that point. So.
There was a report, Robert, that you guys were looking to add a senior advisor or someone to the offensive staff. Is that something you're still looking to do, or is this pretty much the staff you're going into?
No, we have our staff. Guys, I've always had 3 guys in that room. God rest his soul, Napper was with Calabrese and LaFleur. Then we had Kavanaugh. Last year we had Downing with Hackett and Calabrese. And so I was just, you're always looking to add the third person. Felt like Downing and Hackett would be enough.
Is Downing essentially the quarterback's coach?
Yes.
When you looked at the tape of Tyron Smith, what stood out to you about this past season, and are you willing to practice in the same way that they did in Dallas?
Yeah, we're going to work with Tyron. Elite pass protector. Elite human, elite locker room presence from all the things we've gathered. So, again, excited to get him in the building and excited to work with him.
When you say working with him last year, he didn't have practice during the week. Is that the same plan? Have y'all even decided?
We'll see if we can make it better even better for him, and which may not necessarily mean less practice, could be more. But again, we're going to communicate with him, communicate with Dallas, communicate with our doctors, and find the best plan for him.
How much can having a guy like Tyron around help somebody like Carter Warren?
Significant. It's significant because they both they're kind of made up the same way. Got tremendous length. Anytime a young guy can pick the brain of a veteran like him, it's a positive.
Good.
Downing is the quarterback's coach. That means he has to talk to him.
I told him not to say that.
It's okay.
That was a setup question, Robert, for him.
It all depends on what's on the bio.
That's true. Can we get the title out of it?
All right. So Robert Saleh gives his press conference at the NFL owners meeting or league meetings. Go through a few comments that I jotted down here. Injuries not as much of a concern, or at least depth is not as much of a concern for the offensive line, is what it seemed like, because so many guys were able to play last year that they got more playing time than expected, more experience. So maybe depth isn't, maybe that's a little tip of the hand. Maybe offensive line, they're comfortable with Carter Warren, who they talked about and said, feel good about him. Admiral job last year. lots of promise. Maybe the tackle thing isn't necessarily happening at the top of the draft. We'll see. Not done with the safety position. He said, obviously Chuck Clark and Tony Adams being here, but they're going to add some more players to that position group, as well as wide receiver and at running back. He made mentions of all those particular position rooms, as well as the quarterback. He said, they didn't talk about Zach, but they did say, it's good to go into camp. We're going to add another quarterback. It's good to go in with 3 or 4 quarterbacks. So I think they're probably trying not to have Zach on the team, obviously, with all the trade stuff and what could potentially go on. As far as rest for AVT and Morgan Moses, they don't think they'll need as much rest as a year ago. Obviously, we didn't have Morgan Moses last year, but AVT, I guess, had a little more rest last season, so they'll be able to get him back a little bit earlier. It's what it sounds like. Clowney, the more pass rushers, the merrier, so it obviously sounds like they're still in on that. I think this gets done today or tomorrow. I think that's what's going to happen, and we'll see Clowney as a New York Jet. It just makes all the sense in the world. Corey Davis, we'll see. Constant talks, door is always open, that sort of stuff. That tells me I don't think he's coming back. I think it's one of those things where the player probably doesn't necessarily want to be here either. I saw reports that he wanted to be closer to his home in Tennessee, so maybe he's looking for the Titans down there. Hackett, popularity low, winning cures all. We all sucked. That's, yes, that's exactly what we saw. AVT, his flexibility is a gift and a curse. Moving contributed to his injury. He's the right guard position right now. So I don't know if that means that they, after the draft, they're just going to decide where AVT is ultimately going to play, or if it's going to be towards training camp when they decide, if injuries or who's playing better, where he's going to play. Morgan Moses is only getting paid $5.5 million for this season. That could absolutely be backup tackle money if they wanted to. John Simpson on the other side, while he's getting $9 million a year, he's really only guaranteed for the one season. So I could see maybe some positional flexibility based on what we decide to do in the draft and how our offensive line looks. He didn't touch the Mecole Hardman question. He was asked 2 different times on that. The running back room, obviously not done. They were talking about that. They have Izzy, but I think they're going to add someone else. Zeke Elliott is someone that I would keep an eye on. I think strong pass blocker, really good goal line back. I think that's kind of where I would like to see them go with a backup running back. Making some changes to how they approach the offensive line in training camp. We don't know what that's obviously going to mean. They feel like something they did last year, whether it be through training camp or through the regular season, that caused or maybe have played some sort of part in the injuries that they had on the offensive line. I think with Tyron Smith coming in, there's a lot of concern. Oh, well, he hasn't played a full season since 2015. Dallas went to the playoffs 6 different seasons, played in 7 different playoff games. Tyron Smith played in every single one of those games. So he's healthy when it matters most, and that's since 2015. I didn't go back further beyond that, but Tyron Smith playing in the games that matter the most. He doesn't normally practice a whole heck of a lot during the week, which is helping him stay healthier longer into seasons and maybe have a little bit more durability. It sounds like they're going to take a look at that. They'll be in constant communication with Dallas, constant communication with the doctors and with Tyron to make sure they're doing what's best for his body to make sure he's ready to play. And that could mean a little bit more practice than he saw last year. It could be a little bit less practice, but it sounds like they're open to all sorts of ideas. Bryce Huff was the toughest free agent that they've lost since they've been here. Obviously, a lot of love for him, pass rusher, homegrown talent, undrafted free agent. He did say that, he was asked why didn't they negotiate a contract in season, and Robert Saleh said something to the effect of sometimes a player gambles on himself and they win. So I think what happened was the Jets tried to approach him with a contract extension, and Bryce Huff said, hey, look, I want more playing time. I'm going to gamble on myself. I'm going to play out the rest of the season and hit free agency. And that's kind of where we felt it was going to go. The way Joe Douglas sort of handled negotiations last year, I think probably set us up for that expectation, throughout the season. So that doesn't surprise me at all that Huff didn't want to negotiate. No more senior advisor being added to the offensive staff. It sounds like Todd Downing is going to be the quarterback coach for all intents and purposes. So interesting stuff all the way around. What happens from here on out? Who else do we add before the draft? What do you see happen at number 10 based on this conversation? Was there anything that was provided, a little bit of insight? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets.
1, 2, 3.